actually a worldwide report, and you can imagine how deeply entrenched this number is likely to be in the Asian setting, right? Given the dominance of fintech players in China, India, Singapore, Philippines, and markets like this. What is also rising, though, apart from digital, is also customer friction. Customer friction is defined as any interaction that inhibits customers from intuitively and painlessly achieving their objectives. And these are objectives that are cast in the context of the service or the product that they are enjoying digitally. Could be a bank, could be a telecom company, could be insurance, retail, and so on and so forth. In fact, more specifically, from across a variety of studies that have been conducted by the likes of Facebook and Kantar and media measurement companies across this part of the world, we see that close to only 40% actually transact online, and especially so with emerging markets like India, Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, and such. Close to only 40% transact online. And it takes anywhere from 3 to 4 months between the first usage online, by that I mean the first interaction that's digital, to the first transaction, meaning the first monetary event that happens through internet, right? And that's a 3 to 4 month cycle. And of that population that actually does this transaction, which is 40% of the internet addressable population, close to 20% actually drop off after that one transaction. And that's a whopping number if you really think about it, because the population sizes that we're talking about in these countries, in the emerging markets, are very large in number. And 20% of that population, which is actually transacting online, will never be transacting again. So that's a significant source of lost opportunity. And if you really think about why that happens, it's all attributable to customer friction, as it turns out. And this customer friction itself is broken down into 4 sources of friction. And this pyramid that you see on the right is not by any stretch of the means or imagination ordered by priority, because the priorities vary based on industries, based on the demographic that's being targeted. But what you see is broadly the fact that there is a lot of unreliability in the digital channel. And this comes down to the fact that many cases the websites don't open up, something as simple as that, to payment interactions not closing correctly, to mechanisms of discovering products or services not being reliable, right, in certain form factors. All of those are very legitimate reasons that customers have cited as not being able to complete or continue with the journey of transacting online. Other sources of friction are the amount of trust that the digital enterprise is able to produce or engender, right, in the minds of the customer, as opposed to the physical enterprise. And that trust factor becomes a significant blocker that prevents people from transacting more online. The third friction point turns out to be that many points of interaction are actually irrelevant, plain irrelevant, right? And that causes, at best, frustration, and at worst, it actually puts off customer to the point that they don't actually ever want to come back and engage with the enterprise digitally. And then the fourth aspect comes down to the value of the interaction that happens digitally. It is perceived to be poor, and there is a lot of brand building or evangelization that can actually happen that can boost the value that the digital enterprise wants to provoke in the minds of the customer. So all these facets of customer friction are predominantly responsible for the digital penetration not being as high as it should be. And in fact, the logical next question to ask is, are companies adapting to digital even more? And it turns out that across industries, right, starting from even industries which are traditionally not being digital centric, right, starting from fashion, travel, and so on and so forth, and through retail. And this is not including the big industries like the banking, financial services sector, or the telecom sector, or oil and gas, or manufacturing. We see that while there is tremendous data collection or sensitivity to data collection that happens, very little of it is actually used for influencing customer experience in the form of, let's say, for instance, personalization, right, on the homepage or on the account page or on the mobile banking application. And that is also a significant opportunity that's lost. So what is the need of the hour, right? And here's where AI plays a very critical role. And here's where I start to dovetail into some of the stories that we've seen AI play a critical role in influencing and